Hey there, YouTube.
Oh, hi.
This is Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Oh, hello.
All right, what we're going to do today is we're going to explain the difference on some of the children's dirt bikes and figure out what's the best size for your kid. All right, so what we're going to talk about real quick is a ttr125. In this case, it's the L, an xr100, an xr80, and the first dirt bike he had, the ttr90.
Yes.
All right, so we'll start with the ttr90. It's the first one he had. He was 7 years old, and as you can see, he's kind of big on it now. Chris is 10 years old.
Hi.
He's been riding for 3 years. He is 57 inches tall, maybe 56 and a half, but definitely 57 with his riding boots on, although he doesn't have that on now. So he can ride this. You can get around, but put your feet on the pegs, buddy. All right? It's kind of a bear on roller skates. The other problem with this bike when he had it is that
The suspension.
yeah, the suspension is pretty darn soft.
It's good for like sand.
Good for sand, but what happened when? What was the problem? What were you doing?
Like whenever we went to the pit, like every single time when I went over like a jump, it just like bounced right on. Like my feet just started.
Yeah, so he would bottom the suspension out, crash his feet, hurt the balls of his feet. So when he started jumping, and not even big jumps, we're talking 3-4 feet in the air max. He was bottoming these things out. Pro to these things, if you get a newer model, I forget what year it's switched, they have electric start. So all you gotta do is turn the key on, hit the button, and they start. Kill it. So when he was 9, we moved him up to the XR80. All right, he still rides the XR80. This is his favorite bike. He fits on it the best. Put the kickstand up, buddy. In fact, he was just riding it. You can see all the mud on it. This might even have more power, but with the gears, this is a 5-speed. This is a 3-speed with no clutch. This bike has a clutch, so he had to learn how to ride a clutch with it. It was really pretty easy for him. He learned it in one day, and now he's very proficient with it. It's a nice size bike. You can see from here, he can flat foot it, no problem. When he jumps it, he doesn't bottom the suspension out on not huge jumps, and it starts easy. Give it a start, Chris. Okay, there's no electric start version of this bike, so he's got to kick it. But unless he stalls it, bogs it, knocks it over and floods it, he has no problem starting it by himself. I don't have to get off my bike every time to help him start it, although electric start would be nice so when he does flood it. The problem with this bike is, honestly, you can get a nice rear tire on it. I think it's a 14-inch rear on these things, and there's a good choice of tires for the back. The front, there are no good choices. It is, I believe, a 16-inch front tire, and you can find these little trail tires for it, but there's nothing really aggressive for really harder terrain, which that's the downside of this bike. But that said, it's his favorite bike to ride. He rides it most of the time. Every once in a while, we'll take out this one. This is a 1998 XR100. Basically the same frame, I think up through way into the 2010s when they went to these CRF100. They changed the graphics like they did with this, but it's the same basic frame, same basic motor. Drum brakes front and back, as are both these bikes. I'm not a huge fan of drum brakes, but they do work. Once again, it starts easy. Chris, give it a start. We haven't started this bike in forever. No gas. No gas.
Okay. It's kind of hard.
So the problem with this one is the seat height. Maybe we'll put the choke on. Here, put the choke on. All right, give it a shot. No gas. No gas. You're probably flooding it out.
Okay, I'll try.
Yeah. So he can get it going. It definitely does not start. It's a little more compression or just a little bigger piston. He can do it. Maybe it's just the height difference. Really good bike, really solid bike. Nice thing about this bike, 19-inch front tire, 16-inch rear. Lots of choices for tires. Whatever you want to do, you can get real knobbies on it. It is a little monster when it comes to climbing hills. This was really my daughter's bike. She doesn't really ride much anymore, so it'll probably be his next bike. Like I said, he's ridden it a lot, but he prefers the 80 at this height. I just picked this up. I figured this will be his next bike, but my daughter can ride it if she ever goes out riding with us. That has no gas in it, buddy.
I know.
All right, so don't start it. He can start it. It kicks over fine. The one thing that's really nice about this bike, well, this is the ttr125L. The L has disc brakes in the front, drum in the rear. They work really well. Same 19-inch front, 16-inch rear as the xr100. Definitely is a little taller. As you can see, he can't put his feet down. He's got to be not even major tippy toes. He's got to straddle himself on the bike, barely getting his tippy toes down. Not what you want to do for rocks. If he wants to be comfortable, he kind of scooches on one side so he can flat foot the other tire. He can ride it. Yeah, he does that. He can ride it, but not optimum. There's a smaller wheelbase, a smaller tire one. It's just a ttr125, I believe, E, which has electric start. This one doesn't have electric start. This is an earlier model. It's a 2002. The newer ones have electric start, which is nice. Like I said, disc brakes on the L, not disc brakes on the regular one. 14-inch, 16, whatever. I think 17-inch front on the regular one with a 14-inch rear. This is a 19-inch front with a 16 rear. It's got disc brakes. The other one doesn't have disc brakes. But it's a nice bike. It definitely seems to have more power than the 100, although it doesn't climb as much. Doesn't have as low a gearing. Definitely seems to be a little bit of suspension. But he's probably got another 3 inches until he's in height, until he's comfortable with this. I'd say before he's on this, he wants to be 60 inches tall. Right now he's 56, 57. And at this height, that's the best. The one thing I'm going to say is that the clutch pull on the Hondas is not as easy as the Yamaha. Pull that clutch in, Chris. Is that easier than the Honda?
Very, very good.
Very, very good. I wish the Hondas were that good. I've tried different clutch perches. I've changed the cables. They are a little on the harder side. Like I said, the Yamaha here, the little 90, doesn't have a clutch, so it's a great learner bike. But, you know, he's a bear on roller skates on that now. So it's a good lender bike. All right, Chris, anything to say?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, so, yeah, no, all of these bikes are good. I like that one and that one and that one.
Okay.
I never rode this one. Okay.
You've ridden that one.
Only, for a minute.
All right. So, I don't know. The XR80 is a good bike. I haven't tried this one with the smaller wheels. But, you know, you buy them used, you sell after a year, and that's where I am with these. Like, they're cheap enough. You buy it. All the parts are super cheap. I actually just bought this bike for under $100. I got a new front wheel, new chain, new front tube. I'm sorry, new rear tube. The front tube was good.
You painted everything?
Well, that didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And
Well,
a few other things, and it was under $100. I don't know. That's all I got. Just a little difference in the sizes based on how tall your kid is.